Hi everybody, welcome to Your Gray Matters. I'm Neil out here at Peggy's Cove in Halifax. Just gorgeous. You've got to come out and see our country. Today our presentation is about how to rent to own a home. We have Alfonso Salemi from JAAG Properties. What an incredible company he has. You do not have to give up on your dream to own a home. I'm a little wind blown here, so I don't look so pretty. Enjoy Your Gray Matters today and find out for as little as 3% down how you can have your home to own. Hi everybody, welcome to Your Gray Matters. I'm Neil Silvert, and we're excited about the topic that we have today, which is keeping the dream of owning a home alive. I'm really excited. I have on Alfonso Salemi today. He is the co-founder of JAAG Properties, a great company in which I've been watching for almost 8 or 9 years as they unravel this challenge that we're having for people to be able to buy a home. And this young guy, just look at him. He's a young guy. He's going to qualify on the show today because he doesn't have gray hair. He doesn't have red hair, but there's something missing up there. But
I got some gray in the beard.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, Alfonso, welcome to the show. I know that you and your partners created JAAG Properties as a way to make real estate work better for people. But as I mentioned to you, the dream of owning a home for a lot of people seems to have left their mind. They just don't have that dream. And we at Your Gray Matters, we find miraculous solutions that already exist. Let's talk about the rent-to-own world today. Alfonso, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, firstly, thank you so much, Neil, for having me on the show today. It's a true pleasure. I've tried to catch up with all the podcasts that you've recorded. I haven't gotten them all yet, but one by one, I'll get there. You do such a great job, amazing guest, and you're just such a fantastic interview. And with your vast experience, bringing your knowledge to the world is amazing. So it's great to be here. So,
Thank you.
yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm a first generation Canadian. My grandparents' parents immigrated here from Italy in the mid 60s. Very in tune with the topic that we're talking about today, to provide opportunity for their family. When they left Italy, it was not a prosperous time in Italy. There wasn't work, there wasn't opportunity. So my grandfather came to Canada to provide a better life for his family, home ownership, and all the things that come along with a new country, new opportunities. So really throughout my life, I've always looked at different ways, different businesses, different things to be creative on how to solve problems for people, whether that's in sales and marketing. And about almost 9 years ago now, we incorporated, myself and my business partner, JAAG Properties, now the rent-to-home solution that we've coined it for people that are looking to get into home ownership, and like you said, may have thought it's not possible, or as it gets increasingly difficult to achieve that home ownership. I'm proud to say that we've helped over 250 families through our rental home solution achieve home ownership, create some stability for their family, and essentially create better lives for themselves because they have that security at home.
Applaud, because it is an answer. And you saw not only a challenge, frankly, you saw a way to grow a business with your partners. And that is the Canadian dream. That is why people come and they move here. And so I thank you and I congratulate you for that. And you said something really interesting to me. This is not necessarily just for people who right now don't have the ability to buy a home because they may not have enough down payment. The interesting thing is they may be new to Canada and they haven't built up a credit rating in Canada. They may have other challenges, and rent to own can help in those areas too. They can help someone get into a home now and yet build up their ability to get a mortgage in a couple of years from now or 3 years from now. And that, of course, is the tenant buyer. Perhaps talk about how it works for this tenant buyer, and that the title's different. It's not just a tenant, it's a buyer.
That's right. That's right, and yeah, it's very specific on why we call our clients a tenant buyers, because essentially they are tenants first. They are going to be renting the home, but their goal is towards buying the home, to be a buyer. And yeah, for many different reasons, ones that we touched on already, like a newcomer to the country, that has come here from anywhere in the world, and don't know the rules about credit, or how much they need to have to save, or they've come here because they've gotten a great job opportunity, and they've moved here, but they haven't been at their employment long enough for banks or lenders, to qualify them. So that's just one specific client, a newcomer to the country. But really, it revolves around three main things: it's the income, the down payment, and the credit. And putting all those three together so that the qualification at a bank or at a mortgage lender, they will be accepted. So someone that doesn't have the full down payment saved, right? They are paying rent every single month, have expenses, maybe student loans or other types of debts that they've accumulated, and they're just getting by month to month and aren't able to save up for a down payment to purchase a home. The income factor, right? There's many people that are starting new jobs and haven't built up the income history, or maybe are self-employed small business owners and are creative in terms of what they're claiming on their income, but need to know and learn the rules so that they can claim the right amount of income so that they can qualify for their financing. Um, and then credit. Credit is like a snowflake. It's different for everybody. You could line up 10 people with all the same credit score, but it could be all for different reasons, right? Someone might not be paying their bills on time. Someone might have overextended lines of credit. Someone has new credit, right? We talk about the newcomers. Another challenge that they face is new credit to work towards that. So there's many different reasons young professionals that are entering the work industry, and again, don't have that established work history, so that they can't get qualified at the bank. So there's many different reasons why people can't qualify: the down payment, their credit, their income. And we're looking at finding a solution of what can be done over a 2, 3, or 4 year period so that they can work towards that and achieve home ownership.
And it's amazing that is keeping the dream alive, really, where one may think that there's just no chance. And we hear that a lot in the media today. And yet we're talking about that opportunity. When you talk about down payment, I mean, everybody knows I'm a mortgage broker. You're trying to get 20% down. It makes it a lot easier if it's 20% down, but you can get into housing for as little as 5% down. But I heard you say to me recently, Alfonso, that one might be able to get into your program for under 5% down. This is a parting of the curtains. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, like you said, most people believe they need the full 20%. And if you are a small business owner or self-employed individual, typically most banks and lenders will want to have 10%. And if you have, fairly decent credit, and have T4 income or employment income, 5% will suffice. However, we still see many people that are applying for our rent to home program that don't have the 5, 10, or 20%. So the minimum deposit or upfront initial option consideration for our program is 3%.
Great.
Now, throughout the program, yeah, 3% is the minimum for our programs. Now, that is going to be worked and accumulated to build up to the minimum that they need, the 5, 10, or 20%, but they can still enter into our program with 3% initially to get in and to qualify.
I think that this is the beauty of rent to own. You may not remember, but when I was a young kid, they had a thing in the retail stores called a layaway plan. So you bought
Yeah.
a product, the store kept it, and every week or whatever, you come in, you make payments, and eventually you had the product. But then that fell apart because we got these things called credit cards, which are great things and have caused some people to need rent own. And the interesting thing is, with rent to own, you're doing a layaway plan not on the house, that's a mortgage. You're doing a layaway plan on the down payment.
Yes, exactly. So let's just use that small business owner or self-employed individual that has maybe decent credit, maybe has the income there. Maybe they're not fully claiming all of their income, but they don't have the full down payment saved up today. So they can enter in the program with the minimum of 3%. And then over the program, by making monthly payments, a portion of their monthly payment is actually going to be accumulated, added to that 3% over the term of the program, and then credited back to them so that they have that full 10% along with the good credit, along with the income, so that they can qualify at a bank or a mortgage lender for that first mortgage.
But the most fascinating thing of this, I think we Canadians love to be very skeptical. Some people think that they're smart if they're skeptical, and I've often said, no, you were given 2 of these. Listen, and then
Yes.
decide. Don't just assume that it's not real, because this is real. You've done hundreds of these, and there's thousands of these that have been done in this country. But the truth of the matter is there is a process. It's not just holus bolus. Okay, we approved you. You're fine. Let's go through what the tenant buyer would go through. Ladies and gentlemen, 3% down. Let's talk about that. But one other thing, we're talking about once this process is completed and when there's success, you move into that home now. You're not waiting to have all of the down payment. So let's touch on the whole process.
Yes. So yeah, from a tenant buyer perspective, maybe they're going to go and talk to their favorite mortgage broker that's named Neil, and he's going to look at their application. He's going to have them fill out an application, social insurance, name, address, all those personal details. Then we're going to want to look at their income. How long have they had that income? What is the income? Is there a possibility that, hey, it's part time? It might be increasing, over time with full time, and then again the credit and the actual down payment amount that you have. So the application process for our program is not too dissimilar from a normal bank or lender qualification. Is that because we like to call it a home ownership and training program. So we're kind of getting the tenant buyer ready to get qualified at the bank. So we're looking at many of the things, if not all of the things, that the bank or lender would want to look at, and we're looking at where are the gaps. Hey, we only have 3, we need to get to 10. Or their income is going to be increasing because right now it's part-time, and once they've been there for 2 or 3 years, they're going to be able to go full-time. The credit score we're going to look at, is it again over extended lines of credit? Is it not paying bills on time? Is it just bad credit history? Even bankruptcies or consumer proposals that are in the rearview mirror. How can we over only time can elapse to get over those hurdles? So we look at it from the standpoint of very similar to most mortgage lenders or banks, to say, okay, where are those gaps? What is preventing that tenant buyer to qualify today, and what is the plan that we need to put in place over the next 2, 3, or 4 years so that they can be successful, save up the down payment, improve the credit score, and obviously have the right amount of income claimed over 2 or 3 years so that the bank or lender will give them that check mark. So it's not just a willy-nilly, hey, you can't qualify, let's do rent to own and roll the dice and see how it works. And for me, that's the challenging part, is that rent to own is unregulated. Anybody can really start a rent to own program. But for me, what is more important is about the successful completion at the end of the program. So making sure that by the end of the 2 or 3 or 4 year term, the tenant buyers have done all the things, have done the work with our guidance, with our assistance to qualify for the mortgage at the bank.
And it's very, very important. And of course, there's legal documents. The tenant buyer, once there's an agreement to do this, has signed a legal purchase and sales agreement. They've made a commitment. We recommend that you have a lawyer and that your lawyer looks at it, because it's a real estate transaction. There's nothing here that is dissimilar to what one would go through in other real estate transactions, except rent to own is different and is opening up that dream for people. And that's of course what's really beautiful. So it's not that a process doesn't exist. In fact, it does exist. This just opens the door for lots and lots of people to give it a try. And it's a terrific idea to me. That's not just an idea, it's working already. I imagine if you approve a tenant buyer, there has to be someone who's helping them buy the house. You know, if we put down 3%, there's this other 17% on a mortgage that's missing. So that must be that you're providing investors, or you may have your own partners who are doing this. Let's go through that a little bit. Talk a bit about what's in it for the investor too.
Yes, though that is a huge component, and another aspect of the rental home solution is our joint venture partners, the investors that we work with, that are, putting their hard earned money on the table as down payments, qualifying for conventional mortgages at the bank, so that they can purchase the home to initiate this rent to own program. So many of the investors that we work with are same everyday people that work the 9 to 5 jobs, factory workers, doctors, lawyers, different professions, where they want to make a return on their investment by making an investment in something stable and secure like real estate. But what separates the investors that we work with from most is that they want to make an impact. They want to make a social difference in the communities and the areas that they work and they live in, and help others achieve home ownership. Now, when they're qualifying, to purchase the home, they, like you said, they are, essentially providing the balance of the deposit or down payment that the bank will require, as well as qualifying at the bank or the mortgage broker. So they're going through the same qualifications that the tenant buyer will eventually go through at the end of the program, except they're doing it now. They have the income, they have the down payment, they have the great credit. So the banks are willing and the lenders are willing to give and extend mortgages and lines of credit to them so that they can purchase. Um, so in many cases, these investors you're coming to the table saying, hey, I want to invest in real estate, but I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to deal with toilets and tenants and rent collection and all the things that come along with property management. So we facilitate all of that for them, report to them on typically a quarterly basis, updating the client, updating the joint venture partners on, hey, the clients are now paid down their Visa card, or hey, they've renovated their kitchen, they've changed the bathroom, they've done some landscaping work, and our joint venture partners, investors, are getting to enjoy monthly cash flow, and then as well as a profit when we sell the home to the tenant buyer at the end of the.
And it's interesting. Let's say that there's a deal to be made on a $500,000 home. If I'm the investor landlord, I'm liking this because I never lose control of the subject property, even though there's a purchase and sales agreement that's been signed and will be triggered 2 or 3 years down the road, depending on the agreement. I still own the house. I haven't lost control of the subject property. That's a huge thing to me if I'm the investor.
That's right. Yeah, that the security, whether it's their personal name, a corporation that they set up to purchase home, it's controlling the asset. You do own that asset, the property itself, while JAAG is working with the tenant buyer to correct the issues so that the tenant buyer can purchase the home.
And it's really fascinating, Alfonso. I was telling you off camera, and I want to share this with everybody. I was in a restaurant yesterday having a breakfast meeting with colleagues. I had a waitress, young woman. Turns out that she's 22, single, nice young woman. And she happened to be training a young waitress who's 31 years of age. This is all intrinsic. And I engaged her in a conversation. My question was simply to her, are you looking forward to buying your first home? And they both said, no, because we can't do it because it won't happen. And I ran the JAAG scenario by them. And they were skeptical, of course, as they should be. But by the end of it, they just wanted information. And I noticed that one of them had tears running down her eyes, from her eyes down her cheeks. And she was the 31-year-old. And she actually told myself and my colleagues she had absolutely given up, was trying to manage in Hamilton over $2,500 a month for rent. And this opened the door for the two of them. I think it was a great thing that happened yesterday. They will simply go through our website, Alfonso, and if they're excited, they'll engage. But they had no idea that this miracle exists. And so it was wonderful to watch. Then I saw one other scenario. I saw you pull off a miracle yesterday. We're talking to one of my clients. he would be more on the landlord investor side, but he has a property for sale and he loves rent to own, but he doesn't have 2 to 3 years to complete the transaction. And along you come and say, no, 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 get him on the line. We have people who may want to buy the house now. So rent to own may be another answer for some of the real estate challenges in selling homes nowadays. Perhaps you want to comment on that.
Absolutely. And to your first story, it barely, I would say not more than a day or two go by that I don't speak to somebody. Obviously, I wear this on my sleeve, on my truck. I talk about this as often as I can. And when I explain to people or even give them the high level overview that home ownership is still possible, it takes work, it takes effort, it takes dedication from the tenant buyer to achieve that, but it still is possible. And that is what we want to bring to the market and continue to bring to the market, is that it is possible, that you can achieve home ownership if you do put the right things in place, if you do put that work in improving the credit, saving up the down payment. It is possible. So from that scenario, absolutely. And again, with service workers, like the waitresses, bartenders, salon owners, things like that, where maybe some of their income is discretionary or it is in tips or cash that's not claimed, we could say, well, here are the benefits to make sure that you are claiming that. And this is what you'll be able to achieve if you have the right order. Now, not every home that we buy is the tenant buyer's ultimate dream home, but it's getting them onto that property ladder and getting them started. Because I think if you asked anybody, if you could go back 5 years or 10 years or 50 years, would you want to buy real estate and hold on to it? And more often than not, people would say yes. On
Sure.
the flip side, on the second comment that you made with the challenges of people that maybe, the houses are sitting on the market longer. We're seeing, 20, 30, 40 days on the market that homes are available for sale. And the buyers are not coming out in the flocks that they used to buy, because now obviously interest rates have gone up and the pricing of monthly payments have gone up. But someone that is looking to sell their property, and this is something that I've said to realtors more often in the last little while, is even in the description, put rent to own possible. Because now someone that's looking at the home and saying, well, I can't afford this or I can't buy this home, maybe they can rent to own it. And if that seller is looking to sell the home today, and we can match them up with a tenant buyer that's qualified for the purchase price that they want to sell the home for, and they like that home and they want to move into that home, we can purchase that through another joint venture partner, through another investor that will purchase the home. We start that rent to own program. That original owner, in this case, that friend that we spoke with, they've sold the home, they're on to their next venture, on to their next thing that they're doing. And now we started a brand new rent to own program with a tenant buyer, another joint venture partner investor that is now on title and the owner of that home, and now helping another family achieve their dream of home ownership. So for those sellers that are struggling out there, saying, hey, I want to sell, or it's waiting too long, or I wish I would have sold last year, or I need to liquidate, even just putting that on your description, whether you're a realtor yourself or you're working with a realtor to sell your home, just put rent to own possible, and that will open up now a whole different group of people that could possibly fit into that scenario.
And that is just awesome. And of course, at the end of this podcast, we're going to post our website that will allow people to read more about this and actually fill out an application, and then we'll be in touch with them. What I also want to just make clear to everybody, for the tenant buyer and the investors, once the whole transaction or the person is underwritten and they're approved, we don't pick the house for them. They get to work with their real estate agent and pick their own house. They just know the parameters of what they can afford and how to be able to do it. Then once they've picked the home, they've been approved, then the investor takes a look at the whole scenario and decides if they want to go forward. But again, you pick your own home. JAAG doesn't pick it for you.
Yeah, and that's again, if I'm going to go and choose where I want to live, I should be able to get to pick the home in the area that I want to be close to family or friends or work or school, transit, whatever's important to that individual tenant buyer. They get to choose the home, the type of property. Is it a 2-level? Is it a bungalow? Is it a condo? again, once we've outlined and taken a look at the application, gone through the screening process, gone through the application, and essentially come up with a budget of 500, 600, 700,000, whatever that number is, yes, that tenant buyer gets to go and look at one home, 5 homes, 10 homes, whatever, until they find the home that speaks to them, that they can see that for them, this is where they want to put roots down. This is where they can see, in the midterm that they want to live and eventually create some roots and establish a safe place for them and their family.
Yeah. As I said, it is a miracle that exists. It's a solution, and it's not just starting today. It has a great history. I am a bit of a political junkie. I am involved in politics, and I have my own thoughts. It's not a political show at all. But I felt that this program has such merit in these times that I had a conversation with a friend of mine last night who is a member of parliament. His party, his status doesn't matter in this case, but I got him to envision a little bit rent to own, and he's now asked me for a meeting. He wants to understand it, because he didn't realize that this existed, and this is a real answer in these challenging times. And I guess the dream is that once someone gets into the real estate market through rent own, it's conceivable that down the road they themselves could become the investor landlord. And that's what's really exciting about it, is having the chance, on both sides of the coin, to get yourself helped and then be able to help someone else.
Absolutely. Families helping families. I can think of many different stories, but one in particular where we had a couple that invested in our rent to own program, and for them, what was important, obviously, they wanted the return on their investment, they wanted the monthly cash flow, they wanted to make profit on their investment. But what they said to me was that there was somebody that helped them that to get into their home, their first home that they bought. Now they said, it wasn't nothing to brag about, but it was our home. It was somewhere for us to lay our head. And if they weren't able to get into the market at that time, it would have become more and more challenging. And they wanted to give that opportunity to another family.
Yeah.
Something that it resonates with me, especially we touched on it a little bit on the newcomers that are coming into the country. And like I mentioned, I come from a family of immigrants. If it wasn't for the family and friends that helped my grandfather get into home ownership and guide him and to not be scared about taking a loan or taking a mortgage so that he could buy his first house, that would have changed the complete trajectory of my family, for my parents, for myself, my sister, and now for my son, that has that ability to get into home ownership. So being able to a family help another family, one family wants to stop and get out of the rent cycle to create a better life for their family. Maybe another family wants to work one less shift or go on one extra vacation or spend more time together as a family so that they can get a return on their investment. And putting those two people together is really the ultimate goal and joy for us, is that we get to be able to do that and help these families, whatever their goals are, home ownership or a return on their investment, and achieving both. And they're not mutually exclusive by any means.
Yeah, it's a wonderful symbiotic relationship. But it's also interesting, and this is just by way of comment. I have a friend of mine. She's a very good real estate guru, if you will. She lives here in Ontario. But I asked her recently, because she's a real specialist in working with landlords and tenants and is very vocal on the shortcomings and the longcomings on both sides of the coins. I asked her recently, what do you tell your landlords nowadays about getting into becoming a landlord or staying if you already are? She said one thing to me. I actually was surprised. She said, my followers, my landlords, and she has thousands of them, by the way. I tell them one thing: do rent to own. If you're going to be a landlord, do rent to own. Find out about it, be the investor. It takes away that whole area of worrying about your own property that a tenant's in. Not all tenants are bad. In fact, she told me most tenants are excellent tenants, but you get the few maybe that are damaging the property. In rent to own, there's none of that, because as the tenant, you've also agreed to buy it. And there's a significant difference for the investor.
Absolutely. And I always think of the analogy of, your own vehicle versus if you're traveling and you are, have a rental vehicle. Now, if you're driving down the highway in your own car or truck, and maybe you hear a noise or you hear a bang, you're going to pull over pretty quickly to say, hey, what happened? What's going on? Let's take a look at this. Let's, maybe the flat tire, maybe there's something going on. If you're in the rental car, maybe you're just going to say, I don't know what that was. I'm bringing it back in 2 days anyway, and I'll let them deal with it. And that's the difference with the clients, the tenant buyers that are in the rent to own, and then your conventional tenants. As you mentioned, many tenants are fantastic. They're
Yeah.
great, and they just want a safe place. They pay on time, they take care of it. But obviously, the ones that don't. They get the headlines and you hear them, and you hear about the horror stories of people not wanting to leave and damaging properties. But the benefit of the clients, the tenant buyers that are in the rental program, they're not only just maintaining and doing the minimum, they're actually going above and beyond to improve the home. Like I
Sure.
said, renovating the property, changing things the way that they
Yeah.
want, landscaping, doing all those things because they feel an ownership. They chose the home. They want to live there beyond the rent to own program.
Yeah.
So they're maintaining it, taking care of it, and the relationship is much less contentious. It's more of a partnership
Yeah. It's
versus
a
you're the
partnership.
landlord versus I'm the tenant, right?
Yeah. And actually, you just touched on another great thing that JAAG will do for people. Getting into the home, getting the down payment is one thing. Once you take possession of the home, keeping it is a cool idea too. And that takes quite often financial education, counseling, mentoring, and you're helping them with that process as they learn how to not only be a homeowner, but how to keep themselves as a homeowner and become more savvy in real estate. So I think that there's what I call a full circle of opportunities at JAAG rent to home. I must say that uh, as we say quite often to people, it's like chicken soup. Try it, can't hurt you. And so what we're going to do, Alfonso, is we're going to post, of course, the website. People should go onto it, read it, and then if you have an interest, you can just fill out the application right there on the website, and we will post this, as I said. Another way is to contact me directly at yourgraymatterspod@gmail.com. And for investors, if you're a potential investor and you want information, same thing. Contact me at yourgraymatterspod@gmail.com. We'll put you in contact with JAAG, and we can talk about you becoming a partner in the process, an investor partner. I can tell you, I've been through it. It is potentially a great thing for all parties involved. It's really worth it. Alfonso, you're amazing. And I thank you for
Well,
what you're doing. It's good for our community. And ladies and gentlemen, you can have that dream to own a home. Let it back in. Thanks, Alfonso.
thank you, Neil.
Be well.
Thanks for listening to the Your Gray Matters podcast. The Your Gray Matters podcast was created by Neil Silvert and Jason Silvert, written and hosted by Neil Silvert, edited by me, Jason Silvert, and produced by Neil Silvert and Jason Silvert. Please follow us on any major podcast platform, watch us on YouTube, like and subscribe, and email us at yourgraymatterspod@gmail.com with any questions or feedback. Thanks for listening.
Views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the Your Gray Matters podcast. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The Your Gray Matters podcast name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.